Hey, what's up everybody? Bodacious11, Bo the Potato, in here doing one more round of the Sifu Story. So this is the final one, kind of detective board, endings, that kind of thing. I'm just looking around the wigwam here and seeing if there's anything else I missed or didn't notice previously. I just actually finished the museum at age 20 on a fresh run through, which was pretty cool, as I have not been able to do that yet. Yeah, the best I got out of there I think was at like 34, so pretty significant improvement. And now with all of these little tidbits done, I am ready to move on and do the final Sifu story. So this is everything that we've covered so far, including the all of the guardians, all of the alchemists, all of what happened to Sifu Dad, our whole story there. Um, who the Guardians were, who the Alchemists are, and the endings. So we're going to talk about the quote-unquote bad ending, the good ending, and what I just recently heard referred to as the secret ending. So let's go ahead and start with those little kind of sections. I'm not going to show the bad ending, just because I don't feel like it'll make me sad. But we can look at the good ending, and we'll also look at that final little segment that I didn't know was supposed to be technically a third ending, because you only get it, I guess you get the good ending if you spare Yang, the Wude, Wuda, um, but you don't get the final segment that shows you at the dojo with all your little students unless you have spared every single one of the alchemists. So we're going to look back at the board, talk about those final items now, and see if there's anything that I missed in terms of our covering of the story here. So final items on the board, of course, please like, comment, or throw anything you want in as far as the major items. The stuff that really stood out to me, and I'm actually going to back out of the board so that you can see it a little bit easier on the screen there, is I think that this is much more so. I bet I've got a darker wall we can use in my place. Here we go. That's a pretty good wall. Alright, so final detective board, and all three endings here. Let's see, what did we want to touch on? So a couple of things that really stood out, and things that were, I don't know, significant for me. We know that New Dawn destroyed the 5 Kung Fu schools, or they destroyed 4 Kung Fu schools. They killed 4 masters. I don't know if the other one was Jin Fang's. Yeah, there we go. 4 masters killed. Guardian's Vow, Sean's father, Jin Fang, Sifu Dad are all on it. So we see that. They swore to protect the talismans. Talismans are traps to corrupt. Malevolence of the powers are too strong for them to be used. The Guardians must always serve. It or one will train and recruit disciples to pass on the burden. Guarding the talismans will protect the people and the world from corruption. Then as we see when we get to the bad ending, and I should have split this up, I apologize, I'll add an extra space in here. So when we get to the bad ending, we see that there are 2 headstones at the Tree of Life, and those are allegedly the wife and daughter of Yang when he passed away. Or that passed away, which is part of why he is looking for revenge on Sifu Dad. He, at the time, I guess, wanted to be able to save them from death, and our dad didn't agree, which kind of, makes sense. He wasn't supposed to use the powers; he was just guarding it. But if you again do get to that bad ending, Sifu Dad says you're supposed to guard the talisman, not steal it, effectively saying that enacting revenge on Yang was a theft of the talisman. And that you were maybe not supposed to even have it or be one of the guardians, and maybe Yang was right to have it, I guess. And maybe your job is to be passing it to him. He says it's the only way to save them, Sifu. That's again, bad ending is if you think killing them will somehow redeem them, I guess, which doesn't, agreed, make sense. That would be a bad ending. He says, you failed to honor your oath, you're unworthy, now leave, when you're kind of in your oath to protect the talisman. It's essentially what Dad says. Using it to kill your enemies is considered stealing of the powers, which I think is really interesting. And then we get on to the good ending, which I'm actually just going to go ahead and cut away and show this one because I think it feels a little bit better. So here we go. Good ending coming right up. Got the under 50 achievement, which means if I redo the museum tower, I can probably get the...
Please, stay with me.
Oh, I'm young. I'm like younger than Yang. I never realized how good that Tong was, too. Like, yeah.
Sifu's lineage ends here.
I think Dodge goes away in this final scene, too. It's phase 3. Wow, that took way longer than expected.
This is Wugan.
I don't know why that Yang fight was the hardest yet. Now wait for the quote-unquote third ending scene.
Sifu.
There it is. All right, so there you have it. Those are the endings. We're gonna take a look back at the storyboard, or at least that's the good ending with a little bonus scene there. So these are a couple of those big items. Vow that swears to protect the talismans. That's signed by all the guardians. My father, Sean's father, and Jin Feng. So to me that, and these look kind of like fingerprints. So again, that kind of confirms Jin Feng is one of the guardians. Well, let's see. Then what else do we have around this area? We got the New Dawn, the Alchemists. New Dawn is, I guess, what they're calling themselves. Talismans are gifts created to serve. The greatness of their powers is too strong to be left unused. The group must never become extinct. It will strike again and retrieve the gifts. Studying and using the talismans will benefit all people. So this, to me, reads as though they have already taken down the... they have already taken down the other Kung Fu masters that ran the temples, and It will strike again and retrieve the gifts. Meaning it did not have all of the New Dawn did not have all of the gifts, which kind of confuses me because everybody seems to have, as we talked about, a certain power. Some sort of ability to take life, the water, the plants, the illusions, the fire stuff, and burning people with his hands. So I'm very confused on that one. Strike again and retrieve the gifts. Studying using the talismans will benefit all people. It's almost like I think it's like there's some untapped wisdom. So yeah, very interesting thing with the Guardians and the New Dawn there. Let's see. So this shows Yang as a young man with Sifu Dad and presumably you as the baby sitting there. I don't know if this would be Kuroki or possibly Kuroki's twin. That's something that I kind of want to go back to, and I assume that is a young Sean or Sean's father, which could be very interesting. Maybe a young Jin Feng, but Sifu Dad there's pretty old already. He doesn't appear to be in touch with the world. Again, Yang kind of wanted to see you, so looking at that ending, I wonder, was Yang saying he almost seemed to regret the fact that you were going to die once he was sad that you died. He didn't want you to. Which kind of leads to that last little video segment, which I hadn't previously caught before. I think that bracelet at the end was Yang's, and that Yang has taken the talisman and now picked up where Sifu Dad left off. I don't know if he is now leading the New Dawn in a way that is more in line with the way Sifu Dad would have, but that's what I'm really curious about. It makes me more excited for potentially a Yang backstory. Like if we could actually play through and see what events led up to Yang feeling like he was betrayed, such that he needed to do what he did and kill your father. Very end of the game, I also realized there, which I'd kind of thinking the talisman had like brought us back to life and that we were living another way. But playing through like that, I more confidently believe we truly let Yang kill us with dropping the talisman. And the talisman may be something that is maybe even passed between the Guardians, because it doesn't seem each of the Guardians have their power like we've talked about before. But going back to what Jin Feng says when we first walk into her tower, she says your family has a very unique secret. And so part of me really believes that our family's secret is the ability to come back to life. Or we enchanted the talismans. So I'm kind of believing that our character, in passing and having met back up with Yang after going through this big redemptive arc, is taking the effort and sacrificing our life to show Yang how important it is not to misuse the talismans as he has been doing. So I don't really know what the message is to Yang about how to move forward. It seems like he's kind of straightened out if that last scene is in fact Yang teaching old Sifu Dad center. Has he gotten the rest of the Guardians or the New Dawn in line? Really good question. So yeah, all the stuff I worry about. Here we go. Yang suffered great loss. These are those tombs that we talked about earlier. That's his wife and daughter. This statue at Yang's sanctuary seems to point to that being the mother and the daughter he lost. Fajar's medical stats, locked gate. Again, these are the sincerity. This is the table that I talked about. Again, my table here, these are the symbols. This is what you get once you've spared each of the bosses. And I think that's so interesting now to look back at that with Yang having taken over the position as Sifu, that his symbol is sincerity, which I hadn't really taken to mean much from. Justice totally made sense with Jin Feng. Wisdom from Kuroki has even seemed to make sense. Deference, I actually needed to, and I'm redoing it now on the other screen, believe it or not. I was like, I needed to Google this one. I got deference, so I thought it meant like he was not impacted by events that went on or was persistent. But when I looked it up, I saw deference meant humble submission and respect. He addressed her with the deference due to age. So to me, I kind of feel like this is his subservience maybe to Yang, because it certainly wasn't to his father, it certainly wasn't Sifu Dad, and he doesn't listen to you as you come through. And I find it interesting that, of course, Fajar is humanity, because they do see, Yang seems to be taking care of him, but Fajar himself seems to be, in some ways, one of the more brutal of the people, running the drug trade and the gangs. So fascinating stuff there. Let's see, we talked about New John, we talked about the Fajar, Kuroki, the kids. This is where everything ended once and for all. Yes, I feel like that's the end of the story, as it were. 8th anniversary of the Sanctuary, Broken Spirits. Let's see. So I don't know if we see any more that really speaks to. This is that wall again. There we go. 5 kung fu schools destroyed 8 years ago. 4 masters were killed. They were the guardians. Jin Feng betrayed him. She planned it all right here with Yang and the others. Yeah. So many questions. So I think the last things I'm realizing is that Yang is the one who has taken over the school. Yang is now Sifu. And I hope in future games we get to play with his moveset. I've been tempted to add that in with the mods. But yeah, what else do we got here? We see Jin Feng's trusted lieutenants, talked about the Guardians. And I don't know, how do all these Guardians and everybody know? Oh, that's how I named her the Executioner in my notes. How do these Guardians all know what the story is with her? Assassins, they popped up here. What else do we have? Again, workers, analysts, managers, developers, all sorts of people here at the corporation. Too well trained to be simple office workers. Again, I think those are all straight through the pipeline. Fajar, 2 Sean, 2 Kuroki, 2 Jin Feng, and finally loyal employees of Yang. So that's really got those big items taken down. I think my lasting biggest takeaways or kind of final thoughts on the story is like, one, Sifu Story, it was just incredible. I had so much fun playing the game, playing through the story, and I am not even done, as it were. It's kind of embarrassing, but after having played through, and finished it a couple times, gotten the Wude ending and everything. I don't have all of the skills permanently unlocked, but I'm like almost just gonna call that good. I need to go back through a couple times. I wanted to play with the female character, and for the rest of my videos, I was thinking about popping in and using more mods just to go a little crazy. I should be able to finish the game without too many deaths going forward. I think first time through I can probably get out under 50. As I've done that now. Let's see, what else do we have? I think that's really all the big parts of the story. I loved the whole thing. I think it's fascinating. My biggest takeaways are that, again, I think there is some secret of your family that is external to the whole Guardians thing, or that in maybe you have something tied to the rebirth as leader of the Guardians, and that Yang has now taken over the school, which I totally didn't realize. I think Yang was really bent out of shape about what happened about his family dying, and I think there might be more to the story about why Sifu Dad wouldn't help him. And ultimately, kind of protect the others. I'm really surprised that all of these people thought that our Sifu Dad was in the wrong, and kind of therefore thought killing him was the right thing to do. So I'd love to hear anybody's thoughts. Also, I think my favorite kind of fan theory or idea is that Kuroki's twin was originally a part of the massacre, and Kuroki murdered her, took her place, and has since been trying to live the retribution for her sister. Let's see if I notice anything else.
Where is he?
All the students down. Not even a grunt from Fajar. Okay, still the same place. All the bamboo. Okay, Sifu Dad. Okay, is that Kuroki's sister is the question.
Yang. Of course.
You've gotten slow, Sifu. You know I am here, don't you? Just step aside.
You were a mistake. I should never have taught you.
Oh,
Now
that's
you
Pai
know
Mei,
too
or Pak
much.
Mei up on the wall. Oh, you replaced the picture with your
I'm
dad
returning here tonight.
once he died.
You've given me a second chance. This time, I will do what I must.
Do what I must. He must kill you? Wow, that was very different this time. Ah, that fight was so hard to begin this game. That was like 8 strikes. So he opens the box.
Show
And there's
yourself.
some light, but he doesn't close it right away, and he doesn't seem to confirm it's the talisman. Yeah, I think there's something to it on Kuroki's sister being the one who did it. Let's look one more time when we fight Kuroki. And I'll try to cut a ton of this out so that this video isn't just long and ridiculous, but I think that's my big final sneaky takeaway that I am going to call my big fancy find from the story of Sifu is that Kuroki's twin is the one who was a part of murdering Sifu Dad and your dojo. It was not Kuroki. And Kuroki killed her sister for doing it. Yeah! Crack shot. Alright, is this Kuroki's sister? Does she fight like Kuroki? Does she look like Kuroki? What do you think? I think that looks like phase 2. And there's not blades. I even think it's a different voice. I'm gonna have to check the credits again too. That's my big catch, I swear. Alright, so we're gonna check out that detective board. Sorry, I realized that I said dojo. I meant Wugan, or yeah, I think Wugan is the right term for the Chinese training area. For a kung fu person, I just don't. Some habits, sorry. Alright, so Kuroki theory, checking it out. Is it possible that Kuroki's twin was the original perpetrator here? So again, I think Kuroki, long hair. Did Kuroki have longer hair when she was with her sister? I can't tell there. It really doesn't give a lot to say. Kuroki, again, the art, long hair. I think the best way to go back in is to look at maybe the picture up in the artist studio, or to look back at the segments where we fight Kuroki. So let me load those up real quick and add them to this video, and you can judge for yourself. Alright guys, so here we are back again at Kuroki's workshop. Let's step inside and see if we believe Kuroki might have murdered her twin. Again, painted face thing. We got the kick girls, flash kick girls, Jar, if I remember right, back down there. Okay, so here it does look like the painting is of the lady in white, Kuroki, who we presume having just killed her sister with in the black with the white hair. Now, as we look back at that video, I don't think that lady had white hair. But I don't know, maybe it looked a little more gray. I'm gonna pull that up real quick and just see what I'm thinking. Just a second. Okay, is that Kuroki's sister? Is
Step aside.
okay, so here we are on the cutscene again, dressed in all black, like we've normally seen Kuroki's sister. Shorter hair, but we're not exactly sure whether or not is this Kuroki's sister or is it Kuroki? It's hard to say. Let me flip back again to the game. Black outfit, not white hair. Haircuts are a little similar. Let's see if we can't get into facing Kuroki again. See if we can tell a little bit more when we climb up the elevator here. Really trying to learn to operate without that. Okay, off we go to the Kuroki scene. Is it Kuroki? White outfit, dark hair.
I do not want to fight you. That feeling of vengeance,
The doll?
it will not cease here.
See that? She doesn't have the pointy chin.
I speak from experience.
Maybe.
Now leave. Or be forced to. I know 100 ways to kill you. You should have run when she gave you the chance.
Yeah, I can't. I don't know. Does her face change? No. Makeup just a little. Oh, I'm gonna have to rewatch that. How much does she change? There's almost like a little bit of something in her face, but yeah, no. Alright, so there it is, guys. Final part that wraps up my my Sifu Story series. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'd love to hear your thoughts about Kuroki, Jin Feng, the other Guardians, what's going on with the Alchemist, and what we might see in additional content. Off to more gameplay stuff, and hopefully I'll be able to help some people actually get through the game in terms of skill, not just story. Thanks all, take care. Bodacious11 and Bo the Potato, signing out.